DoorDash preys on the poors, a girl sues for damages after going viral, two OnlyFans girls fight over a world record, Hooters hits hard times, and new videos every single week when you support The Habit at patreon.com/dosabuckley. Lawsuits in the music industry go together like peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and chocolate, peanut butter and an OnlyFans girl making highly specific kink content that likely breaks the terms of service. But so far this year, there have been a few lawsuits or threatened lawsuits that I didn't think were big enough stories to discuss individually, but group 3 of the most interesting, strange, or funniest ones together, and we got 10 minutes of content to satisfy the algorithmic gods who won't let me upload a 5-minute video anymore. First up, you all remember Miley Cyrus's Flowers? Of course you do. You yelled at me for putting it on my 10 worst songs of 2023. Well, a lot of the discussion around the song was that it was inspired by, and a response to, Bruno Mars's song, When I Was Your Man. Some shit about Liam Hemsworth dedicating the song to her, and then they got divorced and whatever. Why is she so upset? He's the Hunger Games one, not even the Marvel one. But anyway, I just assume that, much like, say, No Pigeons, the Sporty Thieves response to TLC's No Scrubs, or the R. Kelly remix of Beyoncé's If I Were a Boy, where he gets all defensive about everything Beyoncé says. We know now that Beyoncé was way too old for R. Kelly to ever be interested in her. But anyway, like those songs, I assume that the writers of the originals got credited. Well, you know what they say about people who assume? It makes you an ignorant cunt. That's not the saying? I could have swore. Anyway, Bruno Mars doesn't get a whiff of that sweet money that Flowers made, nor do the other writers. And so, you're ready for a little ride here. One of those writers, a guy named Philip Lawrence, sold his share of the rights to the song to some company called Tempo Music. And Tempo said, hold on a sec, we don't get a cut of that Miley Cyrus song from this? And decided to sue Miley, as well as Sony Music, and even more batshit crazy, Apple Music, and even Walmart for distributing it. And they don't even want a cut of it. According to the lawsuit, they want the defendants to stop reproducing, distributing, or even publicly performing Flowers. They're suing to stop Miley from singing the fucking thing outright. And you thought I hated that song. At least I never said Miley shouldn't be allowed to sing it ever again. So, Miley tried to get the lawsuit thrown out. You might think, oh, because you could argue that it's a parody song and that's protected by fair use? No, she tried to get it thrown out by saying, well, once the song is sold to someone else, the copyright is lost. And also, Tempo only owns part of the copyright. They can't sue, can they? And it turns out, according to the judge who denied the request to have the lawsuit thrown out, they can sue. Because, of course, if you buy the rights to a song, you get the copyright. Like, imagine if when Justin Bieber sold the rights to his music for $200 million, the company that bought them was told, oh, by the way, now anyone can just copy these songs and you can't do dick about it. Congrats on wasting $200 million, fuckos! Anyway, Miley, maybe hold off on buying yourself any more flowers. If some of these other shitty copyright lawsuits set a precedence, your orchid budget might be slightly impacted. Tempo Music wants to figuratively jam a daffodildo in your two lips. I was gonna say that our next story might lighten things up a bit, but no, this one concerns a rapper who calls herself Dank Demoss. Miss Demoss, like millions of Americans do every day, used a rideshare app to get a ride. Except the guy who showed up refused to let her in his car. 'Cause, you see, Dank is nearly 500 pounds. She took a video of the encounter because of course she did. Everything's gotta be filmed, where the driver says he doesn't think that she'll fit in the car, that his car is too small and that he's been in this situation before, and that he would cancel the ride so she'd have her money refunded, and that she needs to order an Uber XL, which are typically vans and SUVs meant for groups of people. Now, listen, the old me would have suggested that she see if U-Haul had a rideshare app, but I'm trying to be a little nicer these days. But 500 pounds! That's getting close to TLC calling to do a show about you. And since all these rideshare drivers have to use their own cars, I think they should have the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason. It's their car, they pay for the maintenance. The state of Michigan, however, where this took place, doesn't feel that way. They claim that since weight is a protected characteristic, this qualifies as discrimination, and she is now suing Lyft. To that I say, good luck. These apps have so many safeguards and other nonsense in place. People have been injured by Uber drivers, died at Airbnbs, and the lawyers go, check the terms of service, you can't sue, best you can do is go to arbitration. Similar to that case you might have heard about where the woman at Disney died and her husband couldn't sue because they had signed up for Disney Plus once. That was a fun story. Support the habit and find out more. But I don't know. On one side of the scales, what if two 200-pound dudes and a 100-pound girl, 3 people adding up to 500 pounds, were getting a ride? A driver wouldn't reject that, right? On the other side of the scales, especially since she had her phone out so quick, I think she kinda set this up either as a publicity stunt, knowing full well this would happen, or is using it as a way to actually make some money, since the rap career clearly isn't going too well. She's only got about 2,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which is like 4 listeners per pound. Sorry, but come on! Anyway, in a bizarre gotcha, she posted a video of herself doing an ad for some used car lot where she, let's say, less than gracefully gets into an SUV, kind of proving that the driver might have been right. I would guess that Lyft will eventually just settle this one, empowering Dank to try and get rich by suing other companies that aren't equipped to handle her extreme beauty. And finally, this to me is the strangest lawsuit. A lawyer has over 100 fans ready to file a class action lawsuit against Tool because they played the same songs twice at the same festival. I don't like the idea of Milhouse hearing the same 2 Tool songs in one weekend. So, you know Tool. Freaky, weird music videos in the 90s. A lot of anus references for some reason. Tool fans are gonna be so mad at me. Buckley, that's what you reduce Tool to? Yeah, I do. So, they did this music festival live in the sand, where your ticket also included a weekend stay in the Dominican Republic, where the show was, all-inclusive food and alcohol, along with getting to see other bands too, including Primus, Mastodon, Eagles of Death Metal, Coheed and Cambria, CKY, and more. And apparently, Tool promised 2 unique set lists for their appearances on the Friday and Saturday night. So, Friday goes off fine. Everyone has a very lovely time listening to the ass play music. They have other songs, Buckley. Saturday, though, 4 of the 9 songs they played were repeats from the night before. The crowd, having consumed all-you-can-drink booze for 2 days straight, are not thrilled, apparently. Reports are that the band got booed by their own fans at their own festival. And maybe rightfully so. You want to know how much this shit cost? Well, if you were going by yourself, the cheapest ticket was $5,975, airfare not included. But if you went with friends, things got a little cheaper. Still around $3,000 to $4,000 per person for 2 people in a room, or $2,500 to $3,000 for 3 people in a room. I don't give a fuck if Tool announced they were playing every song they ever wrote. For $3,000 plus you had to pay to get there, you were fucking had before you even got in the plane. Especially when that same resort, 3 nights without Tool, $1,270 for 2 people. Not per person, that's for 2 people. So, the festival ticket was basically $2,300 minimum. That is getting into delusional Taylor Swift fan territory. So, the buyer's remorse alone is probably enough for some people to hop on that class action lawsuit. But, can they win? Well, the English language is a funny thing. Tool promised 2 unique sets. They didn't say, we won't repeat any songs. If I burned you a mix CD with 10 songs on it, which I would never do, of course, piracy is bad, you wouldn't steal a car, and then I burned you another CD with 10 more songs on it, but 4 of them were the same. Those are 2 unique CDs. They are not the same. CD 1 is different than CD 2. I don't think that pedantry, that means to be pedantic, I'm not talking about a pageant run by Drake. I don't think that pedantry is much comfort to people who spent somewhere between $2,500 and nearly $8,000 to see Tool effectively play 15 songs. Even if all their songs are like 10 minutes long, that's still not a great deal. Plus, you also had to listen to Coheed and Cambria. So, I don't really think that lawsuit's going to be successful, but what the fuck do I know? I'm not a lawyer. If I was smart enough to get through law school, I'd hope I'd be smart enough to know it doesn't cost $5,000 to get drunk and sunburned for the privilege of hearing Stink Fist. Man, do Tool fans have a fandom name? If not, they should consider calling themselves The Screwed. Don't worry, when you woke up the next morning with a sore ass, that was just Maynard James Keenan reminding you, this may hurt a little, but it's something you'll get used to.